On behalf of the Deanship of Academic Development, we would like to welcome you to this workshop, Course Design. Dr. Obaid Shuraidah. Now they have a very fancy name for their college. We used to call it the College of Industrial Management. Now it is Business School, huh?
Yes.
Am I right, Obaid?
KFU Business School.
طيب KFUPM Business School. طيب with this I will leave the floor for Obaid. تفضل يا دكتور.
بسم الله الحمد لله صلي وسلم على محمد. I'd like to welcome everyone to this quick session or workshop about course planning. I may just put a very short introduction to the workshop. First of all, we in that have delivered this workshop several times through the past probably 5 or 6 years, or maybe more, in different formats, in a long form where we spent more than 4 hours. In other versions, we had it in very short, about 1 hour, and also several times in the same format that we are doing today, about 1.5 hours to 2 hours. So the topic is open, honestly, to extend it longer time. We first attended a workshop about the integrated course design in Purdue, I think in 2014, where we spent more than 2 days just discussing this topic. And also we discussed some of its components, during the other days. So the topic can be actually extended to have longer period of time. I'll be doing my best, within this limitation of time, to talk about the important things in this workshop. The only thing that I don't feel comfortable with, when we have short sessions, is the practical side or the hands-on when we try to implement some of the things that we do. However, the implementation of the course planning or the integrated course communication needs longer time. Even the ideas that we'll be talking about today, we may need semesters to implement them in a perfect way, but we have to start. And also before I start, and I believe that every one of us, with the experience that we have some level of course planning and integrated course communication. So we are doing excellent work. The only thing sometimes are the labels. Scholars or scientists, they come up with certain labels and adapt a theory or an approach or a process, and they label it. But we can be using this for the past maybe 6, 7, 10 years of our academic lives. Let me just share the screen with everyone, so we start, inshallah. MashaAllah, I see that we have 58 participants. That's an excellent number. Victor, we don't get this number when it's face-to-face.
That is true, yes.
Yeah, that's amazing. Do you see the slides now?
Yes, we can see that.
Yes. Yeah.
So, Bismillah, let's start. Sorry, the title should be, I just edited this one, so it should be course planning. The workshop that we, as I said, we used to deliver is under the title Integrated Course Design. but the integrated course design is only one approach of the course planning. So the idea of the, so let me start, breaking the ice. So I cannot honestly go through the 58 participants and ask about, the things that I want to ask. Now there are 61, but I assume that we are coming from different backgrounds right now, probably different departments, different colleges. And also, I think we are in different ages or age ranges. And also, I'm assuming that we have different teaching experience in higher education. And I think all of these assumptions are valid. And what's important for us is probably to see some ideas for today about, one specific goal that we want to get out of this workshop. I want to avoid the, answer that it is a mandatory workshop. We needed to attend this one to fulfill, certain requirements. I want to avoid this one. I need people who have passion to attend the workshop and just tell me or, share with us some of the goals that we wanted to achieve or gain out of this workshop. So the floor is open for probably 5 or 6 of our dear participants. Please.
Dr. Obaid, if you allow me, participants can also enter information through the chat window. So please monitor the chat window in addition to the audios.
Okay.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام.
بداية الله يعطيكم العافية على الدورات اللي انتم جالسين تسووها. Thank you guys for these lovely workshops. To be honest, this is my first time taking all of these. This is my 5th one this year with these workshops, the DAD workshops. I just came from my doing my PhD. I completed my PhD and I just came back, and it's a very refreshing. It was a very refreshing week for me to hear all these experiences and all of these, let's say, achievements in the way that things are going with the COVID-19 and online learning, and also they learn about lots of challenges that we might face in the upcoming future. I have never taught in a virtual manner before. I took some courses virtually, but I never taught anything virtually. So this is one of the reasons that I insisted on taking many workshops, as many as possible, just to take all the information that I need, all the experience from other faculty members, and see how to implement this in my courses and my department as well.
Thank you, Don. So it's not specific to the title of the workshop itself. That's general, right?
Yes, the title of the workshop itself. Yes, I took it because I want the course planning specific experience. But I mean, for the I just wanted to thank Dad for all of the work that they have done. But for this course specifically, I chose it specifically for just to take the information from it. I don't know what to say else. I just need the information that you guys are gonna share with us, and that's it.
Good enough. Thank you.
يعطيك العافية دكتور.
Shabab, any more?
You have on the chat two things.
Doctor, and I don't see the chat. I have been trying to find it.
I will read it to you. Okay. First, Zakaria would like you to put your slides on the presentation mode.
Intentionally, I put it like this
Yeah,
for
okay,
now.
yes. Okay, I have to treat everybody's طبعا chat, okay?
Okay.
Ahmed Ben Dania is saying that basic tenets for planning the course, this might be one of his goals. Practical steps to plan a course. So this is from Ahmed Ben Dania.
Okay. You know, a reason for asking this honestly is just to probably get some ideas about, you know, what customers want. Because sometimes, you know, as we repeat these workshops, we just, you know, forget about, you know, some merits, you know, some important things that some, you know, come from the participants. So if we are missing anything, we just go and consider them in the future. Okay.
There is a couple of ones, Abu
Allah, Doctor, and I don't see them. I don't know what's
happening.
happening.
And I will read it to you. Don't worry, okay? You just have to
Okay.
pay me later on, okay? طيب.
Okay.
Muhammad Ghazi, okay, improving my course material and organizing to make students involve more. This is the goal he's looking for, okay? Zenhani is looking how to design the content of the course in an attractive way, okay? Mujib, this is our Mujib from that, alignment of the different educational elements. So these are some of the goals people are looking for.
MashaAllah.
That's it. Okay, go ahead, Abu Umar.
No, a quick introduction. Do you see the small Y? I wish you see it, you know. If you don't have, you know, reading glasses, you may not see it.
Yes, in the middle of the screen.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Now, can you see it now? Of course, yes.
Yes.
What I do usually, honestly, when I start, again, you know, this workshop, is to ask the question why. And the question why is not about, you know, attending a workshop or learning more. No. The question is, why do we do teaching? Now, I'm talking about everyone. I'm asking everyone, including myself. When we selected this career, you know, the teaching or being instructors or faculty members in a university, why did we do this one? Was it the only option that we had? Is it because, you know, we are influenced by others, you know, either, you know, parents or instructors or, you know, some other people? Is it because, you know, a chance that was given to us? Is it? So we have to ask, you know, ourselves this question. And if we don't find, you know, this answer, you know, a specific answer, that is passion, that is, you know, liking, that is, you know, loving, you know, this career, I think there is probably a problem in this. Because if you don't like your career as an instructor in higher education, if you don't enjoy it, if you don't have the passion, again, I believe, you know, there's something missing. So no matter what we do, if we don't enjoy it, you know, we will not achieve our goals fully. So we have to, you know, think of this. And if somebody is not having this answer among, you know, the list of, you know, other answers for why I am here as an instructor or a faculty member, please go and think of this. Try to create, you know, this passion. And, you know, when I talk about passion, I'm talking about, you know, the passion of doing everything related to the you know, being an instructor in university, including, you know, dealing with the students, you know, liking them, you know, entertaining their requests, you know, smiling in their faces, giving them, you know, the best that you can, you know, give them in terms of the materials. So this is very important, you know, question before we start this workshop. I just probably pass this, you know, short exercise, leave it until the end. Teaching, that's, you know, quick definition, is a complex human action the many tasks that are involved comprise for general components. Knowledge of the subject matter, and I think everyone should have this one. We have, graduated from excellent schools in our area, so I believe, we don't have problem with the knowledge or the basic knowledge. The second component is the decisions about the purpose and nature of the learning experience. So there should be a goal, and you should be also knowing, the learning experience perfectly, the interaction with the students, and now we have added actually a means of interaction, that is, the online platforms, and the management of the entire instructional events. So these are the 4 components that, form the teaching itself. And we all do this. So we have the knowledge, and we have the design for instructions, and these all take place before we start the teaching itself. Then we have 2 components after we start teaching, and that's the interaction with the students and the course management. Managing the time, managing the content, the exams, everything related to the management side. Usually the degree to which these tasks are performed will directly affect the quality of the learning experience that the students have. In other words, we have to look at these components in an integrative way in order to have a very effective learning and high quality of experience. Sometimes we need to have a definition for, a good course. And probably you all have this in mind. So a good course is a course that challenges students to significant kinds of learning. If it's a routine type of, teaching or course, sometimes students, get bored of the course itself. Even if it's a theoretical based, try to make it challenging, the way they think, the way you, address the concepts, the main concepts, the way you get them involved, in discussion. Now, sometimes, and this is true, unfortunately, when students talk about Islamic and Arabic courses, they would say these are easy courses. Or even other disciplines, these are easy because, they don't feel it challenging. So if you need to have a good, a successful course, try to make it, somehow challenging to the students. Not, in terms of, not giving them grades, no, challenging in the delivery, in the content, in the way you manage the course. Use active forms of learning. Avoid, the traditional way of teaching, just lecturing and leaving the classroom. This is not good. Try to use active forms of learning. Have the teachers or instructors who care. Now, when we talk about caring, this is actually broad. We talk about caring about the subject itself, preparation, the students, the teaching and learning environment, everything. So caring is also a very important to have a very successful course. Have teachers who interact well with the students. You should be honest, there are instructors who are very tough. It's like, they are policing, students. They don't want, anyone to talk, to interact, even to smile. And I think this is not good. That's, this takes us to the passion that I talked about. Regardless, students are our, kids. To, certain limits, of course. But, I'm talking about, you have to make it open in a good way that students actually feel free to ask questions, be creative, enjoy your course. Also, to have a good course, you have to have a good system for feedback and assessment, and also grading. Students usually are after grading. And if you ask them at the beginning of the semester about, what they do or what they wish to have, they will be saying, we need to get, high grade, A+ or A. and try to change their thinking of, merely talk about or think about the grades into other things. Hey guys, I need your feedback. I want you to interact with us. I want you to participate in the class. Don't make the class, boring. And probably, let me go to this, the exercise that I talked about. And that's a thing that I usually do and usually share it with, within all of my workshops. The first day of any lecture I get in my, academic, I would say, life, used to be, about breaking the ice. I just get into the classroom, trying to learn about everyone, their goals, why do they register the course, and even sometimes we go beyond this. And I'll be talking about this in details later on. But this type of exercise usually breaks the ice and will be actually the starting point that students will keep in their minds. It's like, the first impression. So try to manage, what you want to achieve by the end of the semester through the first touch point, which is the first lecture in your, course. And I think, most of us are doing, great thing about it. So let me start, this was all, an introduction, because I want to make sure that everyone likes, teaching. He is passionate about it. He is willing to go and improve, do whatever it takes to make his course enjoyable and also informative by the end of the semester and achieve, his goals. Today we talk about course planning, and course planning involves determining the intended learning outcomes. This is clear: assessment, content, and instructional tasks required to effectively teach a course. Usually, and this is true, anything or to be successful in doing anything, you have to have an excellent planning for it. Just imagine you want to go to Riyadh for a few days. If you don't plan it well, probably you will be falling into certain, problems, or at least, inconvenience by doing something. You just go there and you don't find a good, housing place or, accommodation. So that's a problem. So planning is very important. And we should think of course planning, not actually the first before we start. We should, look at this, few days, a few weeks in advance. Even if you are teaching the course repeatedly, and I believe, good planning is a must to have a successful course. One approach of the course planning is the integrated course design, adapted from Fink, and he started talking about this in 2003. And there are actually great deal of publications, papers, white papers, courses, websites talking about the ICD or the integrated course design. Any comments before I dig into the details? Yes, no? Let's define the integrated course.
Abu Mubarak, Dr. Yahya Awais is sending a link for everybody, okay? Which talks about creating significant learning experiences. Anyway, might be everybody have seen it. Okay,
and I don't see the comments. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. That's the only comment. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. I have also some links towards the end of the presentation that have some resources. So thank you, Doc, for sharing. So integrated course design is a systematic learning center. Again, we're not talking about teaching center. And there's a paradigm shift from teaching to learning. So now we are focusing on the learning center. So it is systematic learning centered approach to designing courses. The heart of this approach is to first decide what students can and should learn in relation to the subject that they are taking. So designing or deciding on what they can and should. Because sometimes we may be, optimistic of the things that, we need our students to learn, but sometimes it's beyond their ability. or beyond, the requirements of the course or the course description. So we have to ask, can our students learn this, and should they learn it? So that's the first step in the integrated course design. Secondly, we have to figure out how such learning can be facilitated. So what can they know or learn? How should they learn it? Then how can we facilitate this one? And this takes us actually from the first class until the end of the semester to figure out how to do the learning itself. This approach, the integrated course design or the learning centered, actually requires more time and effort from both the instructor and the students. But also it offers the best chance of ensuring that students have significant learning experience. And we will see this when I go through the slides. Traditional learning, I just come, give my lectures and leave. So how do I make sure that students are really involved, are learning, at the best way that I want them to learn? But when I shift, for example, to the learning centered, where I do, for example, interactive learning, give them the chance to be part of the delivery itself. They share their information with their colleagues. So I'm trying to let them go and learn more in a better way, better than just listening and leaving the lecture. The integrated course design components are the learning goals. And I believe that every one of us has certain learning goals related to his course, and also the teaching and learning activities and the feedback and assessments. Teaching and learning activities is what we do inside the classrooms and when we ask students to do things outside the classroom. Feedback and assessment, it may take place inside the classroom during the lecture itself, through the interaction with the students, asking them, doing certain exercises, or through the assessment, exams, whether, in classroom or, at home, or homework and all of this. The integrated course design has basically 5 steps. We'll be going through all of these steps in details because this is the whole, workshop. The first step is the situational factors. The second one is the learning goals. The third one is the feedback and assessment. The fourth is the teaching and learning activities. And the last one is the integration. So we look at all of these steps and try to integrate them in a better way. So situational factors. When we talk about this first step, there are also subcomponents. So we need to identify the situational factors that may influence the learning process. And these include specific context of the teaching and learning situations, and the general context of the learning situations, the nature of the subject that we are teaching, the characteristics of the learners, and these are the students, and also the characteristics of the teacher or instructor. So we have to know about ourselves. So let's go into details and examples. If we talk about the specific context of the teaching or the learning situation, we may ask a question like, how many students are in the classroom or registering the course? And this is very important because if you are teaching only few students, will be definitely different than teaching, a good number of students. And I'll just tell you that one semester I had to teach only 2 students for the whole semester. And this had changed my plan totally. So in the first week started, I had only 4 students and 2 of them dropped. And when I talked to the chairman to go and drop the course, he said actually 2 of the students have to take it because they need to go to their co-op training. So I took the students, I said, can you go and postpone this, do whatever, go to other sections. I tried with them, we couldn't. And they are actually not from our department. They belong to, finance and accounting. So I cannot control their lives because of one course that is taken from another department. So eventually I had to manage it this way. And I'll tell you later on actually how I managed. And it was one of the best courses that I taught, honestly, because of the planning of the course. So that's one thing. If you are teaching, in a big or large auditorium, probably will be different than teaching in a small classroom setting. If you are doing, traditional, it's different than the flipped classroom. So how many students is very important. Is the course a lower division? It's an upper division or graduate level? Is it, for example, for the orientation students? Is it for the freshmen, for the sophomore, and so on and so forth? So this also makes a difference. How long and frequent the class meets? This is also very important. Are we meeting once a week? Is it twice a week? Is it every day? These are all specific situational factors or factors that will influence the course design. Also, how will the course be delivered? Is it face-to-face? Is it online? Alhamdulillah, we did a great shift from the face-to-face into online within a few days. Alhamdulillah, we're all successful in doing this. Yes, we faced some technical problems, but I think overall the experience was great. And if there was no good planning at the beginning, at least for the course and its content and the office, it would be so difficult to shift from the face-to-face into the online within one or few days. Let's talk about the general context of the learning situation. What are the expectations that others have in the course? What learning expectations are placed on this course or curriculum by the society, university, college, department, profession? So now we are going actually beyond what's going on in the classroom settings. We talk about something beyond this one. So for example, the society expect certain outcomes coming from this course? Does the university also expect something? Is it a college course or is it a department course? What the professional society outside is expecting from us or from our students when they go and take the course? Do we think of these general situational factors? I just want to ask ourselves, do we usually think of this? Or I would say, well, this is an assigned course, and this is the number of the course, and this is the label. I know it very well. I have been teaching this for a long time, and that's it. So I don't actually go and look beyond what's going on in my classroom or even, within my college or department. So let's think, beyond this one. We go to even what the society expects from us or from our students when they go and take the course. Also, another factor of the situational factors or subset is the nature of the subject. So again, what's the level of the course? First, advanced or graduate level. Is the subject primarily theoretical, practical, or some combination? Now, if we talk about Islamic and Arabic, probably it's more theoretical. If we talk about foundation courses, including the principles of marketing in my department, probably other courses in your disciplines, probably they are more of theoretical because these are all foundation courses. But as we move to advanced levels, we move from being theoretical and into more practical. So also ask this question at the beginning. Is the subject primarily convergent or divergent? This is also a good question because in certain courses, when we start actually from a simple concept. But as we go through the weeks, actually, we go and cover more material. So we start diverging. going beyond, the first, what they call the first, meeting or the first chapter. Other courses, actually, we may start general, but as we go, we converge. Means that, the full picture will be clear only when we leave, the course, or when we reach the last week or weeks of the course. So as we go through the course, we are actually bringing bits and pieces from each chapter. Then once we get into the last week, we actually bring everything together. And this happens with me in one of my courses, which is the marketing research. Because eventually students have to go and do a simple marketing research. And they cannot do this one from week 1 or even week 10. So we have to wait until the end of the semester, probably week 12, sometimes 13, for students to be able to go and do a good marketing research. Very simple, of course. So the course actually converges as we go through the semester. Are there important changes or controversies occurring in the field of the study? And for example, in marketing, people talk about the advertising and how sometimes deceptive they are. And so there's actually controversies going on this topic. So we have to be careful when we address, such topics. Probably in science also, there are some controversial, topics like, the radiation, the chemical wastes and all of this. So, are there any subjects or topics within the course that, if that's very sensitive, people, will argue when they talk about, so we have to know about all of these. Also, what's the attitude and perceptions toward this subject? There are some topics that actually have probably some question marks. People don't want to take them. Or they want to avoid, taking these courses. So is there any certain attitude or perception about it? An example that I have been through during my PhD, when they started talking about the marketing theory, they are talking about, relativism, these, isms, things or theories. So some of them actually may contradict with, my faith, my belief. So I was avoiding, discussing these topics, because sometimes, people, in different faith, just see it very simple to discuss, all of these isms. So is there any topic that is controversial and has created certain attitudes or perceptions about the subject? So you have to understand this also very well. Where does it fit in the program, your course? Is it only a single course, or is it a course that, that is a prerequisite to other courses, or is it a course that requires other courses? So also you have to understand all of this, because sometimes if it's single course, you may go and address the topics or the content in different way than if it is a prerequisite for another course. So these are some situational factors related to the nature of the subject. The fourth subset of the situational factors is the characteristics of the learners. And this takes me back to the introduction. Do we know our students? If not, that's actually, that's not a good thing. So we have to know our students very well in the first meeting. And these are some questions that we can actually post in order to understand the characteristics of our students. What is the situation of the learners? Are they working? Sometimes we can't go beyond this one, their families, where are you from, from which, city, first of all, you are breaking the ice. Sometimes, it helps you in planning your course in the future. And for example, knowing the cities of the students, or even sometimes the neighborhoods, is good enough if you go and assign them projects in the future, because they will be meeting frequently. So we try to bring students who belong to certain, neighborhoods or cities, at least, in one group. Also, what prior knowledge or experiences and initial feelings do students have about the topic that you are teaching? And this is very simple. You can reveal this one by asking the students, simple questions. Hey guys, why do you take this course? What do you feel about the course? What do you expect to learn about, when you finish the course? I'll give you some, things that I do in order to understand my students, and I'm sure that all of you are doing a great job, in this regard. What are their strengths? Can we, discover the strengths that students have? Is there a way, either, communication skills, or, the way they, arguments, or, their knowledge, or, their interest, even their hobbies, this can sometimes may, represent certain strengths in the students. What are their learning goals, expectations, and preferred learning style? Make actually the first lecture just to know about, your students. What percentage of students take the course as a required course, or as an elective, or as a pre or co-requisite? You'd be actually more happy if you discover that most of your students are taking your course as an elective course. Because, this means that, your course is popular, students perceive that there's actually a value in your course. Now, if your course is required, sometimes, I have to take it because I have to take it. I have no choice. Or if it's a prerequisite. So look at the students that register your course. And again, be happy if they, of the majority of your students or learners are taking your course as an elective course. Maybe you are looking at, this VARC instrument. This is an old instrument that is, very effective in understanding your, the nature or the characteristics of your students. And VARC stands for the visual, audio or audible, R is the reading, K is the kinesthetic or practical. So it's an instrument that has a few questions. Also, I'm sharing this one towards the end of the presentation, or I can even send it as a PDF file. There are multiple versions of this instrument. They even developed this one in Arabic. So that's a set of questions that, takes about 5 to 10 minutes of your students. Just distribute it to them at the first, meeting. Let them go and do the questionnaire. Let them go and do the calculations, and you will be knowing how your students like to learn. Yani, for example, if the score goes to the V, this means that, or most students, or the student, or most students select the V more than others. This means that your students are visual. So don't bother them with lectures. Try to develop a content that is mostly visual. If it's A, this means that your students, like to listen. So probably they need more lectures than the visual or the practice, the practice. Read. If most of students read, or they have, the reading skills, please assign them more readings. But from experience, I don't see, these R scores usually high. Most of the students are either, visual, or some of them, are kinesthetic or practical. And also some of them are audio. They like to listen to lectures. So do this exercise, know about your students. But, the bottom line here is try to know everything about your students in the first meeting. Make the first lecture just, an introductory to know more about your students. The last thing or set of characteristics in the situational factors are the characteristics of the instructor.
Yeah, Dr. Obaid, there's a chart since you're talking about the learner's characteristics.
Okay.
From Dr. Saeed Brahmi. This was earlier on. He's asking how can you review or refresh the passion of a faculty member if that has been affected by the quality of the learners. And if I can add, thank you, Yahya. Yahya sent to everybody a link for VARC.
Thank you. By the way, VARC has different, as I said, versions. You can go and select the suitable one for you. Because I remember one of the questions, the first one, if you have, a lady and she asks you, the direction to the airport, what would you do? One of them is to go and give her a ride. So this was actually a sensitive, answer, because of, the Islamic, I would say, giving a lady a ride. So I remember we had, discussion about this one, and later on they changed actually the question. So they replaced it with another question. So look at the questions before you go and give them to your students, because you may not find a proper context among the questions that you have. For the question, Dr. Anna, if you want to bring your students, back, and create passion on them.
No, Mubarak. He's talking about his passion.
Okay.
How does he refresh his passion at the faculty if the quality of the learner is affecting that passion? Am I right, Dr. Saeed? Dr. Saeed Bremi?
Yes, doctor.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, actually, it's gonna be the same thing, Doctor. There is a magic, exercise or action, which is, smile. And if you have a passion, you will spread it to all of your students. Doctor, especially at KFUPM, we are getting the best students. So I cannot say that, they are not good. Yes, maybe they are demotivated because of, any other reason beyond, beyond you as an instructor or beyond your course. Something else has affected them, has made them, disappointed. But, they have very high quality. So within KFUPM, we shouldn't worry about this one, we shouldn't worry about the quality of the students. They are the top students, in the country when it comes to performance, achievement test, aptitude test, and all of this. So we trust their quality. But unfortunately, some of them, feel, homesickness. Some of them have been affected, negatively by some other instructors because they did not have passion. So, Doctor, just be, I would say, confident of, you can bring them back. You can actually, and this happens, honestly, happened a lot, with me. Converting a student from being, a failure, complete failure, into a very successful. Just, if you find, for example, a student that is not interacting, please call him to your office, talk with him. Probably you will be understanding. Yes, as we said, at the first slide, it takes a lot of effort and time from us, but this is our role. Look at, your role beyond, being an instructor or a faculty member. You are also a parent. Yeah, some people, would say, you are exaggerating. This is not, we are not in, this is a school. Yeah, no, this is true. But I believe, if you have a passion, you will bring your students. You will talk to them. They will come and knock your door, asking about, even other courses, not your course. So, Doctor, be confident that our students at KFUPM are the best in the country, and you don't have problem with their, quality overall. Even if we say, that they are bad quality, how would we think of the other students in other universities and, schools? So we are doing great. Just, smile is very important, as I said. Interacting with them, giving them the confidence that, they deserve, and I think this will bring them back to be passionate about their, study and about your course. I wish this is clear, ya akhwan.
Another question or comment from Dr. Al-Muhair, Hani Al-Muhair. He's just questioning, knowing the students' family situation and, other information about him. He's asking how this will affect the design of the course. What are the actions? He is asking what the actions, if you knew this information,
okay.
What is the action you need to take? Yeah.
Okay. Doctor, if I'm teaching, for example, a family business course, probably this applies to certain disciplines, not to everyone. If you are in chemistry, what do you know? Why do you need to know about their families? It's not that important. But if I'm teaching, for example, a family business course, it would be very effective to know their, family backgrounds. This will go and make my family, my life in the course, more successful. In terms of planning. And for example, if I have students with, family business backgrounds, I may go and assign them to different groups to influence the experience of others. So I wish this is clear. So it does not apply to everything. These are all, factors that can be applied to certain courses, but not to every single course. I was expecting that, the family matters are usually, sensitive, and students may not actually accept talking about their families and backgrounds. So I was expecting to, get this question. Again, this will depend, asking this, sensitive question will depend on the subject that you are teaching, and also the situation. Once you talk about this, in front of the students, I think you will feel that, they are willing to share with you or not. Or you can even make an introduction. Hey guys, we need to know about your family backgrounds in order to us. So you justify actually you're seeking for this type of knowledge. Again, ikhwan, what we are talking about are different subsets or sub-factors. They can be applied to, not to all courses, but, into certain courses, depending on the subject, depending on the learners themselves, depending on the situational factors, how many students, if you have only a few students, probably you don't need to go and ask about these very, specific questions. Is this clear or need more?
Yeah. He said, thank you, Dr. Obaid. He's satisfied.
Okay. Let's talk about ourselves, the characteristics of the instructors. What beliefs and values does the teacher or instructor have about the teaching and learning? And this takes me to the passion at the beginning, do I really like it, teaching, or I was just forced because it was the only, option in my life, or, when I started my career? What is his or her attitude toward the subject students? Unfortunately, in our department, sometimes they assign courses to people because there was no one to teach the course. So if I don't like the course itself or the subject itself, I think this is not good. I shouldn't accept this one if it's not within my domain. And I think this is a good message that should go to the, administrators. Please don't assign a topic to a person if he does not like it, or if he has not been exposed to. Because, within each discipline, there are specific topics that is not necessary that I have learned something about them. Yes, I'm in marketing, but probably, there is, a certain topic that I'm not aware of, or I don't like. I don't like because of the nature of the course. So if I don't like it, I have one of two options: either to say, no, sorry, I cannot teach it, please replace it with another course. Or if I see that I can learn, I just need more time to prepare for the course and, get ready. So this is very important. And the message to the administrators, please don't assign courses to people because you did not only find, somebody to teach them. What are her teaching skills? People are different in their teaching skills. And we all know, this. We have some colleagues or even some people who taught us in the past who have, excellent communication skills, human skills, interactive or, interaction skills. And we have also the opposite. So people are different. So we have to know about our skills. And if we lack any of them, we should work on them. Everything can be learned, even the soft skills. So we have to go and assess ourselves. We have to be somehow accepting that we lack certain skills and we don't know everything. I have to be humble, yeah. Understand that, if I miss or I lack the skill, I have to go and work it out, improve it. What level of knowledge or familiarity does he or she have with the subject? Again, this takes me to the second point. If usually I create either a positive or negative attitude toward the subject because actually I know something about the course I'm familiar with or I'm not familiar with. In the second point, maybe I missed this quickly. What's the attitude towards the students themselves? Unfortunately, you have some instructors who look at the students in a negative way. For example, we know some instructors who would say, I don't have a student who deserves an A plus or even an A. What's the reason? Because I cannot compare him to myself. Please, give me a break. You are comparing students to students. You are not comparing a student to yourself. And we have examples of this even at KFUPM, unfortunately. We have some instructors who, give the best, probably a B. You will never find an A or an A plus in their, students' records. So this is actually a negative attitude towards, the students. A student is a student. And there is a grading scheme starting from an F, which is a fail, into an A plus. So I'm expecting to find at least, in your records, students with all of these different grading, letters. And look at, dig through this, you'll find actually, there are people or instructors who are, or having a negative attitude towards the students. You have to, force them, you have to be, be harsh on them or tough on them in order to perform. This is not true. Again, smile is the magical action and word. Try to use it all the time. Patience. These are our kids. We are their parents before we become their instructors. This is the first, set or step, which is the situational factors. If you don't have any question, I'll move to the second step, if you don't mind.
I think might be after questions, then might be it's a good time to give them 5 minutes break to grab a cup of tea or.
Well, I'm planning later on, but it's okay.
Because 1 hour now since we started.
Doctor, yeah, it means that I have to run quickly, huh?
No, but we usually give a break after the first hour.
Okay.
So is this the right time to break or not? It's up to you, Obaid.
No, it's okay. And I just was assuming it's, we are at home, everyone is,
Into you are lucky at home, you have somebody who brings you the cup of tea, but some people, they don't have.
Yeah, Doctor, they are all sleeping now. خلاص, if there is no question, we break for 5 minutes. That's okay.
Yeah, we come back by 10:35, please.
Shall we break now?
Yes, please.
Okay. يعطيكم العافية.
Dr. Shuraidah, I think it's time now. Might be everybody is back by now. Until those who are still on the seat, there's a comment by Anas Rabir. He's saying that there's a difference between the design and the implementation of the course. He thinks that, you know, an instructor, characteristics of the instructor and the student, they will affect the implementation. If you want to comment on that by the time.
Victor, all of the 5 types or subsets of situational factors will impact both the planning and also the implementation. Usually what we implement is what we plan. So if you do, as I stated early in the slides, if you do an excellent planning, it will take you there. And that's what I said, you know, even going just to Riyadh is a simple one. But if you don't plan it well, you may, you know, fall into, you know, some troubles. Once you reach to Riyadh, you don't find, as I said, you know, available accommodation. Or, you know, you just, you know, miss, you know, some important thing that you wanted to achieve because you did not plan it well, where to stop, when to stop, and all of this. So again, for the courses, we have to look at all of these 5 sub-factors, including the specific context, the general context, the students themselves, the subject, and the learner himself. All of these actually will together influence both the planning and the implementation. And that's the reason we said, you know, we have to know about our students so we can influence the way we do the implementation of our plan for the course. So that's the point. I wish this is clear, Ikhwan.
Inshallah, I think Anas can answer, but you need to share your screen now.
Okay, shall we start now?
Yes, inshallah.
Right. And I think maybe we needed more time, so I'll be trying to go quickly through the things that we are all familiar with, but we are moving to the second step, which is the learning goals. There are certain benefits about stating the goals. I'll go through them quickly. To build a foundation for the course, to organize central course concepts, to eliminate the unnecessary content, to provide a map for both faculty and the students, to form the basis for assessment. If you don't plan well, if you don't set up the objectives, you cannot do the assessments. Generally, a well-defined objectives, usually with measurable components, are easier to assess and also easier to link to the competencies. One thing, you know, when you talk about, you know, objectives, sometimes they should be, you know, flexible, because you may go and do certain objectives, but you don't achieve them all. So you have to go and revise these objectives from time to time and try to match them with the characteristics of your students and also your own characteristics. I think all of us are familiar with the Bloom's taxonomy about the learning goals, starting from, you know, remembering or recognizing and recalling facts into the creation of the combining the parts to make, you know, a whole picture or a new whole picture. And we just climb through, you know, these steps as we go in advanced courses. If you remember, if you are talking about a theoretical, completely theoretical course, probably remembering and understanding will be sufficient goals to achieve. But as you go beyond this one to practical courses, you go and think of the other levels of the Bloom's taxonomy. Overall, traditionally, the emphasis or overemphasis was on understanding and remembering. And I believe, you know, I'm from the same generation. During the high school, we used just to go and literally memorize things. If you have an excellent memory, you are a successful student. You are a high achiever student. So, but you know, things change. Now I see my kids in the elementary school, they are actually having higher level of, you know, course objectives and goals. They get into the skills. They got, you know, into, you know, more of thinking that we did not actually expose to at our time. Even during the university level, some of the courses, probably, you know, 40, maybe 50% of the courses totally dependent on understanding and remembering, wasn't on, you know, on thinking. And now I'm talking about a very interactive field that is marketing. However, you know, in our time, we depended more on, you know, understanding and remembering more than, you know, thinking and going beyond this one. So now things have changed. If I want to know the impact of my course on my students after they graduate, then understanding and remembering is not good enough. If I want to see the difference between a student who takes my course compared to that student who did not take my course, then I have to set up different goals. The understanding and remembering will not be sufficient, and so on and so forth. So now we are emphasizing more on other things, important things, like, you know, critical thinking, learning how to use course knowledge creatively, learning to solve real world problems through, you know, projects, assignments, and all of this, changing the ways that students think about themselves and others. You know, I don't want to, you know, my students to be selfish, working alone. No, I want them to work in teams. Also increasing the commitment to long life learning. It's not about this course, you know, it's not, you know, once you finish my course, that's the end of the journey. No, I want you to continue learning something about the subject that you are taking right now for life, you know, or at least as you need it in the future. So actually the goals are changing from, you know, the basic levels into very advanced levels. The integrated course design has specified actually 6 levels of goals. And because of time, we'll try to go through them quickly with some examples. We have foundational knowledge. We have application, of course, foundational knowledge goals, application goals, integration goals, human dimension goals, caring goals, and learning how to learn goals. I'll go through each of them with some questions, with some examples. The foundational knowledge, and this includes all of the content, ideas, and information that you want your students to know at the end of the semester. So they take a course as a whole, so what you want them to go and learn. So that's the foundational knowledge. And these are some of the questions that we may ask ourselves about the foundational knowledge goal. What are the key information, facts, formulas, terminologies, you know, concepts that I want my students to learn because they are important to them? What are the key ideas or perspectives that are important in this course? So, you know, pinpoint 3 or 4 major ideas or, you know, concepts that are important in the course. You know, this is the minimum that any student will take my course, will achieve them, will know about them, will understand them. So that's the foundational knowledge. The application, and this encompasses critical, creative, and practical thinking. So we talk about application, as well as additional skills like, you know, the soft skills. So, and this actually leads us to the application goals. These are some questions that we can ask about you know, the application goals. What kind of thinking are important for our students? Is it critical thinking? Is it creative thinking? Is it practical thinking? And this will go and depend on the subject that you are taking. Now, we are linking, you know, this step into first step, knowing about your subject matter or about subject that you are teaching. So you have to identify the best way of thinking that is needed in your course. In a marketing course, for example, what's the best? I would say if I'm talking about advertising, probably I will go to creative thinking.
because, you know, it depends on imagination, you know, and going beyond the normal, you know, way of thinking. Probably in science, they may go into critical thinking. What if I change the material in this? What would happen? Or even practical thinking, when I do certain measurements and when I do apply them, what would happen? So I think math, they can go and do a lot of both critical and practical thinking. So let them think, not just go and memorize a formula and try to reproduce it. What important skills do students need to gain? Is it communication skills? Is it teamwork skills? You know, all of these are applications. Do students need to learn how to manage complex projects or only simple projects? So if the question is yes, probably this applies to high-level courses like the senior level or graduate level courses. But I believe in the first year or second year, probably they need only to go and manage simple you know, projects, and this will go and identify the level of thinking that we need them to get involved in. Integration, this includes connecting different ideas that might appear in different disciplines or across the lifespan. The point of integration is there are different levels that we all fall in. So how do we connect, you know, these levels? Yani, for example, what connections, similarities, and differences or interactions should students recognize and make among the ideas within the course, or among the information or ideas or perspectives from this course and other courses in the same field, or between the materials in this course and students' personal, social, and work life? For example, if you are teaching a course, you have, let's talk about, you know, 10 chapters. So how do we connect these 10 chapters together? That is an integration. Or are these, you know, chapters all stand alone? Every chapter is totally independent of the other. Well, if that's the case, probably there's a problem, because, you know, you are teaching different topics. So there must be a point where you go and integrate all of these chapters, you know, with each other. How do you link this course to other courses in your department or in the college or in the university? That's also a higher level of integration. A more higher level is, how do I integrate the material of this course with, you know, my future goals? And for example, if I'm teaching a marketing research course, I may ask students, you know, about their plan, where to work in the future. Well, if they are working as you know, a marketing researcher or researchers, probably they should go and link the learning here with what's going to happen in the future. You know, that's their you know, career, or maybe even their personal you know, goals. You know, they should go beyond this one. So try to do this also integration. At least, you know, pinpoint, hey guys, if you learn you know, in a better way in this course, probably you may need it if you work in a marketing research company. If you are doing, you know, mechanical engineering and all of this, well, if you work in SABIC, you know, they focus on, you know, this type of material. Now you are trying to link them into their future. Oh, this course is very important to me, because if I think of working at SABIC, probably I'll be needing this information. So that's the integration. So again, there are different levels of integration, but all of them are very important. Human dimension. This helps to assess if students learn more about themselves and others. Now, I don't want, you know, my students to be selfish. Everyone is just thinking of himself. No. Yes, thinking of my own, you know, goals myself is good, but, you know, I should go beyond this one, because I'm interacting with other people also. So this is very important. And these are some questions that, you know, we may ask. What could or should students learn about themselves? You know, from experience, sometimes students, they don't know that much about themselves. They don't know about the skills that they have. You may find one student isolating himself, you know, and you can spot this one from the first or second meeting with the students, that he is usually sitting alone, doesn't want to talk with others. Please, if you spot something like this, just call him to visit your office and talk with him, because everyone has actually excellent skills in himself. So how do we, help them, make these skills alive and very, effective? What could or should they learn about understanding others or interacting with others? Because eventually people will go and work in teams with groups. So the human dimension is very important. And I think, alhamdulillah, at KFUPM, we are working on this, and maybe you have taken some workshops or sessions about the team-based learning and all of these concepts. Caring, provides the motivation and energy for learning by developing new interests, feelings, values associated with the course materials. So how do I link myself into the course? Some questions: what are the changes or values that should students adapt? Should interests be affected? Feelings, should they be affected? Or their values or commitments? So these are some of the questions that we may ask. And for example, what are the values that a student may gain from taking a course or he can adapt? And these can range from simple things into complicated. And for example, when you talk about the discipline is a value. So do you want to change a value in the students when they go and take your course? If somebody is coming to class usually late, how would you go and change this, make him adapt, a promptness value, coming on time to your course? If somebody is not smiling, you can't even talk to him. That's caring. That's the level of caring. I know not everyone is good, at handling this type of goal, but I think we should strive. We should try our best to achieve these types of goals. Learning how to learn. I don't want to feed them with the information every time. I want them to go and learn themselves. I want to convert my students to be or become a self-directed learners. How do we do this one? Well, if we, for example, assign them something, then later on I'll go and bring them all the materials or all the resources. That's not going to help them to be, or to learn how to learn. So try to give them exercise or exercises that will go and help them how to be, how to learn things themselves, not to depend on you as an instructor. These are some questions. What should students learn about how to be good students in the course like this? So once they go and repeat course or take, a similar course, they will not struggle. They will be, doing the same good, exercises. How to learn about the specific subject. There are students, for example, who don't like math. How would you go and help them to go and like, the math subjects? Try to, make it appealing, but, let them go and learn how to do it. Programming, for example, try to help them how to learn themselves. How to become a self-directed learner is very important. You do it yourself. Make them, spend maybe one lecture, talking to them about how to be good learners, how to learn actually by themselves. The last, these are some examples again, how to take notes, for example, learn how to do, if something is not making sense, and how to deal with these situations. Recognize the importance of writing and rewriting, that the first draft of whatever students submit or turn in actually should have some flaws. It shouldn't be perfect. So tell them how to go and revise, go and work on the paper before they go and do the final submission. And we all suffer from this in the co-op reports, for example, or summer training reports if you have them. So usually the first draft is not good. So tell them how to make their writing perfect. Return it back to them. Let them go and work on it. So these are some examples that we can actually do. This is a summary of the learning goals. I was planning to have the break here, but now we are talking about the third step, which is the feedback and assessment. Do you have any questions about the goals? I just tried to go through them quickly because of the time. If you don't have any question, I'll just proceed. Are you with me, Shabab?
If somebody has a question, he can unmute the mic.
Okay, I don't see the comments, Doctor. I don't know why.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, they are all comments. Dr. Yahya says he likes that, the idea of developing new values in students.
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Hani talks about mapping learning outcomes. Okay. Either the objectives of the education objectives of the program or the learning outcomes of what we call student learning outcomes.
Okay.
But the others are saying fine. Ahmed Bandai is saying good, go ahead, proceed. Things are clear. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the third step is the feedback and assessment. So once you go and design your learning goals, and please, Ikhwan, yani, spend a longer time in discussing the learning goals. Again, when I adapt or any of us adapts a new course from the department, we just go and refer to the previous syllabus, what other, colleagues have done in the past. This is good, starting point. But, we shouldn't take it as granted because, these goals sometimes are developed by instructors. So the goals that, ex-colleague has developed, not necessarily the best, goals that I want to achieve in my course. So if you are adapting a new course, spend longer time doing the learning goals because, there's a freedom, that's at least, to the course level, there's a freedom. At the college or department level, sometimes, it's khalas, it's approved by the department, by the academic committee, and so you don't go beyond this one. But, at the course level, you can be actually more creative. You have a lot of flexibility. So if you adapt a course from a previous semester done by another colleague, please spend, some time because your goals sometimes are different than his goals. Now, once we finish this step, which is the learning goals, we just go into the feedback and assessment. Now, when we talk about feedback and assessment, we ask, these questions. What is assessment? And why do we assess? Can anyone help quickly, maybe within 1 minute, to answer these two questions? What is assessment? And why do we assess? Any participation, any sharing for ideas?
People are writing here, but just give him some time.
Okay.
Check understanding. Okay, to check whether the learning objectives have been achieved. Checking student perception to the course material.
What else?
Not yet. Okay. Assessment is a systematic way of evaluating whether a student understands the material.
Okay.
Why to distinguish between students.
Okay. Now I can see the comments, Doctor, and I missed them. Okay.
Assessment. Okay. Assessment is the check. To check the level of understanding and how much of the course learning outcome they have learned. Evaluating student abilities and achievements. Evaluate whether learning goals are met. To measure the student learning. Did you reach the target?
Okay. Okay.
Whether the course objectives have been achieved. Is it enough or you need more?
No, good enough. I'm happy with these responses, honestly, because I'm looking for probably one answer that we all have to, agree on. First of all, assessment is what? It's like, a yardstick that, helps me to measure something, right? Now, why do we assess? What was mentioned is great, to achieve so many objectives of the assessment. But there is one, that is missing here. By the end of the semester, we have to submit a grade, right? And when we want to submit this grade, it should be actually built on a fair, I would say, foundation. If it's, only submitting a grade without looking at the differences, as mentioned by some colleagues, between the students, there was no meaning, or there is no meaning for, doing assessment. Look at what happened, last semester when we were forced to assign the pass and fail. Honestly speaking, and it was the only option that we had that time because, what happened. But it wasn't the best way for assessing the students' performance at all. And I got some students, talking to me later on, in the semester saying, oh, alhamdulillah, we did well in the last semester. Now, this we did well actually is good for them because actually they used not to achieve well in the previous semesters, because I know the student actually was dismissed the previous semester. So he called me and said, alhamdulillah, Bashir, I passed, everything is okay, you passed. And he passed is not actually a good assessment for your performance at that time. But for him, it was an excellent assessment because he used to flunk, not to achieve well in the previous semesters. So, when we talk about assessment, it's like, a stick yard that we use to measure the performance of our students. Why do we assess, so many, I would say answers to this one, but, assigning a grade in the student's transcript is a major reason for the assessment. Now, how do we assign this grade? What's important for us should be fair. And assigning fair grade is what's important. No matter what we say, about, the differences in grades, but, it should be a fair way of assigning the grade to our students. I want to, probably pass this one because we are talking about different ways of assessment because of the time. So let me just jump into the two levels. We have actually, auditive way of assessment where we have only, exams. For example, we have 2 midterm exams and final exam, and these are all sufficient feedback to determine if the students got or, the knowledge or did not get it. So once you do this one and students pass, based on the grades that you assign to them, you would say, okay, they got the knowledge, so they understand it. So it just helps us to assign a grade. He deserves an A or an A plus or a C or even an F. So these are all simple, auditive type of assessment. Now, if I want to actually go beyond this one, this simple auditive level of assessment, I have to go actually and ask about things that take place during my lecture, for example. Now, this, auditive or summative feedback just tells me, oh, he has achieved, he learned something. And this is good for reproducing the answers. I go as a student, I read the information, I come to the midterm exam and final exam or quizzes or whatever, and this is after the fact. So after, I explain to them, I ask them to go and, review the material. They come back and they will go and give the answers for the questions that are assigned to them. So just make sure that I learned something. If I want to have a more, I would say, appropriate to learning, a high level type of assessment, I will go to the educative or formative feedback. And this is learning centered, not a teaching centered. I just want to see how to reproduce the material. No, this is a learning-centered, approach. So it's a process that is designed to enhance the quality of students' learning. How? When I talk with my students inside the class and I start discussing them and grading them as they talk or as they finish, that's actually an educative type of assessment. That is a formative. When I ask my students to talk to each other and they agree on an answer, then I assign a grade to that answer. That is also a formative feedback. So if I want my students to learn better, that's actually the educative type of assessment. It's not just to produce what they have learned in the past 5-6 weeks. No, I want them, to learn how to do. And for example, if I'm in a marketing research course, I can bring, the students into groups and I would say, hey guys, we have a survey discussing the quality of food provided by the, snack bars in different buildings. Can you go and write questions about them, for the survey? And I will be actually discussing you guys in these questions and I will be assessing them later on. So the best, set of questions will be giving, for example, 100 points or 100% of the points. The second will be, now I'm trying to let them learn how to write good questions and they get immediate feedback and then we go and share them with other groups. So by the end, they will all, be convinced that, this is the best set of questions compared to the other sets. And this happens a lot in my course. So they are learning actually how to write good items for their questionnaires in the future. Now here I'm achieving actually 2 goals. I'm assessing them in order to assign, the grades, but also I'm teaching them how to be good learners in the future. So when they go and write another questionnaire in the future, they will be remembering the discussion and they will be avoiding all of the small mistakes that took place in the first exercise. If a teacher or teachers can learn how to develop procedures for each of these 4 components, they will give, and I'm talking about the components that are here for Word, assessments, all of these, they actually can help the students understand themselves and also probably achieve what they want to achieve in the course. Probably, some of your students are straight A students. No matter what type of assessment you give them. What's the reason for this? Probably, they will help by, you or other instructors how to expect the way that they will be assessed through. So they are open to any type of assessments, whether, educative assessment or the summative assessment. So they know it very well. So they adjusted themselves to any type of assessment. And this is very important. Now, somebody would ask, what's the best? Is it the educative assessment or the summative assessment? I would say both are very important because for the foundation courses, you have to go and use the summative, type of assessment or auditive type of assessment because you want to make sure that they are grabbing the foundation for your course. But if we go to higher level, for example, the team-based learning, I want them to work in teams. I want them to have critical thinking. I want them to, so these are all high level goals. So I'll be using different levels of assessment with them. Okay. Because of time, I would just pass all of these, different types of assessments. But the idea is we have either the summative assessment or the educative assessment. Both are important. We cannot skip any of them. Probably the weight of these 2 types will be different from different situations. And for example, the level of the subject. Is it a freshman year or is it a senior level? So a senior level probably will be going more to educative assessment compared to the low level. Also, the subject itself, is it a foundation course or is it a prerequisite? So all of these will be influencing the way we do the assessment, but both of them are very important in the students' life and education or learning. The fourth step actually is the teaching and learning objectives. I'm sorry, activities. So what do we do in order to achieve your goals, and you can assess them clearly? So what are the activities? Now, if we go to the two types of learning, the passive learning and active learning, that's I think the key for this one. So traditionally, we used to do only passive learning, where we come to our lectures, we start lecturing about our topic, then we just make sure that students understand the points. So that is passive. So it's a one way. Unfortunately, what I'm doing right now probably is a passive type of learning, but I think because of the situation, it's a short workshop, we have only less than 2 hours. So I usually talk more than I listen to you, brothers. And that's the reason I sometimes ask questions just to at least, have a flavor of, avoid the passive learning, just, talking all the time. So please don't do this in your lectures. Even if you have a theoretical course, don't make your learning as passive. You just come to class and you start just talking about everything all the time. Try to get your students involved. So again, passive learning refers to what happens for students when they listen to a lecture or read a book. They receive information and ideas. And this is an important part of learning, but by itself is not, or it is a very limited and limiting. Limited in the knowledge itself because, they learn only what you say to them. And also it's limiting their capabilities for digging for more information. So passive learning is not good, especially for high-level courses. But it's important probably for certain topics, for foundations, but don't do the passive learning throughout the whole semester. Active learning actually is something that is beyond the teacher's talk. It adds more power to the learning experience. We need to incorporate more active models of learning into designing our courses to increase, have better experience. I think every one of us is capable of doing a lot of active learning activities. I will go to some examples inshallah later on. Now, when we talk about what happens traditionally, and again, this is what happened in our times, honestly. We used to get only lectures all the time. So lectures and short discussions, we assume that this is good enough, is what we call it actually the passive learning or passive activities. I just come to class, start lecturing. I may ask 1 or 2 questions during the whole lecture. This is not good enough. This is not good enough. We have to go actually beyond this. When we want to move beyond this one, actually, I want students to be really involved, heavily involved in whatever I talk about. And these are some examples. Probably you have been exposed to this in other workshops. If you remember the 1-minute essay question, this is very effective. I've used it, it's really excellent. And the idea of this, if somebody doesn't know this, is just, while lecturing, you just pause for 1 or 2 minutes and you ask a question and you ask your students to go and write their answers within 1 minute or 2 minutes. You just decide on this. You go and collect actually their answers and you can read them loudly, or you can ask the students to go and read them and ask other students to go and give feedback to their answers. By doing this actually, by the way, the first time you ask the students to do it, they will not actually take it for seriously. Because after maybe 1 or 2 minutes, some of them will not write anything. It will be a blank, page? Nothing is there. Ask them, why you didn't, do the answer for this question? What was difficult? So they will never do it next time. They will think that you are serious and they will be actually sharing. So if you want, don't grade the first, actually, 1 minute essay question, don't grade it. Leave it ungraded. But, tell them this after you do the exercise. Okay, guys, to help you guys to understand this method of active learning, let's, not to grade it this time, but, next time it will be graded. So they will be paying more attention when you go and post a question for, 1 or 2 minutes answers. Think, pair, share technique. I think you also know it. You bring the, students together and you let them think, and then you think individually, you pair them together and let them go and discuss it, go and share it with the whole class, and everyone will be reflecting on, what others are doing. Again, it's time consuming, but it pays off, honestly, especially if you have a complicated topic that you want your students to be involved in. Also, the RATs, the readiness assessment tests, these are tests that are ready and can be actually used. And there are so many forms available online, so you can also go and use them to do the active learning exercises. The team-based learning also, when you go and group your students, whether in projects or during the class, and they start discussing the topics. These are some examples of the active learning techniques that we all should adapt. It's not necessarily that you adapt all of them, because this will be totally dependent on so many factors, as we mentioned, including the subject that you are teaching, the level of the students, the number of students in the class, and so on and so forth. But try to go and pick 1 or 2 of these techniques and implement them, and you will be feeling a real difference in the activities in your class. It will not be boring anymore. Any questions about the activities?
I have a quick question, Dr. Shuraidah, if you allow me.
Yeah, go ahead, Yahya.
Yes, I'm just a bit confused right now because we are talking about things that we hear when we talk about designing courses, like changing the style we deliver the material. So, and you mentioned that the model that you mentioned that has the situational factor learning goals, the fixed model. I'm just not clear about why do we need to talk about this summative and formative. I know that because we need to do assessment and it's part of the overall design of the course. But somehow the big picture, I'm missing the big picture. I'm still I'm missing the big picture here.
Okay. Doctor, what I want to reach here is we all usually adapt the traditional way of assessment. Go back to your department and try to get the syllabus from 2002, 2003, 4, 5, these, 10, 15 years back. And look at the questions, a sample of the questions that used to be asked to students. You will find, in this syllabus, don't dig into the questions themselves. Just go and see the syllabus. You'll find that, the grading scheme totally depends on a midterm exam or a major exam, first major, second major, and the final exam and participation. So there is no room for projects. There is no room for, activities inside the class. Even, this participation, it's usually is worth 5 or 10 points, and it's given to help the students to pass the course. We all know this one. So the active learning activities is missing, or was missing. Alhamdulillah, after all of these workshops that has been, delivering, and I have seen a lot of change. I was a chairman for the department from 2007 to 2014, a long time. And honestly speaking, I worked, hard to change people from adapting the traditional passive activities in their classrooms to be more active. through actually the dad's workshops. So my point here, Shabab, yani, overall, try please not to use only passive activities. Just, you know, doing lectures and short discussions and leave the class. No, I want you to go beyond this one. And this actually will be reflected, you know, these activities will be affecting the assessments themselves. Because if you are doing an active learning, probably, you know, for sure, the assessment will be totally different. Will not be an exam, will not be a quiz.
I agree with you. Yes, I totally agree with you. But how do I link these new activities? Because I'm attending other workshop that where I learn how to design this new activity. But how do I link them back to the learning goal and the situational factor? Because at the end, I'm trying to design an integrated course here.
Okay, Doctor, this is what I said. Yani, for example, see the 1 minute essay question. 1 minute essay question is suitable when you have a class size of, let's say, 15 students or so. But if you have, you know, 70 students or 40 students, is not suitable. Because the idea of the 1 minute question is to ask, you know, a quick question that requires only 1 or 2 minutes answer time. Then you collect them, or you ask the students to go and read their answers. And, you know, you do it for everyone. So I'm learning from the other 15 students in the class. So this is, you know, how to link these activities into your, you know, situational factors. So in this, you know, in this situation, I cannot do actually a 1 minute essay question. Alternatively, I can do a team-based, you know, learning activity. So I'm grouping these 40 students into 5 groups or 6 groups, 6 or 7 students each. And I do them a quick exercise. So I will be actually eliminating or reducing the time that's required for the discussion. I think, is this clear, Shabab?
Yes, to some extent.
So, Doctor,
yes.
you know, the point is, you know, you look at all of these, you know, situations, including the students, you know, the time that you have, the course that you are actually doing, and try to design certain activities that are active in nature, that will go and help you to achieve the goals that you put, you know, early on. Whether these goals are, you know, application goals, or they are caring goals, you know, working with others, or it's a human dimension of the goals. So all of these will be achieved if you go and design all of this. Doctor, Ana probably I should be doing, and that's, you know, the nature of the workshop. It should be actually 4 hours minimum, because there's actually hands-on and an exercise. And maybe this will go and let me speed up for you know, sometimes, just to show you one important thing that I want you all to do when you go back today, or, you know, first week of the semester.
There is one question, yeah, Doctor, Dr. Akram Ahmed. He's asking, in online situation, what activity do you suggest?
Wallahi, Doctor, this is very challenging. And by the way, I don't want to do this, but, you know, it's the end of the workshop, so I will, you know, freely say this. I'm not enjoying actually the online as, you know, it's face-to-face. If we are face-to-face, I will be delivering much better than, you know, what I'm doing right now. I'm talking to myself, honestly. I don't see even, you know, your videos or your pictures. And that's the reason I said, I wish, you know, I can see, you know, have big screen that can accommodate, mashallah, 84 participants. That's, you know, a great number. Never seen this, you know, number. So when I see people in front of me, actually, things become different. Now, if we think of the activities, actually, you can do, you know, because you can bear them. You know, there's in Blackboard, and I think also in Teams, I think you can go and bear the students. So if you are doing a lecture, you can bear them into either 2 by 2 or 2 small teams, and you assign different probably tasks to these teams and allow them for 5 minutes or so, and you go and have a cup of coffee, and they will come back to you and they will start discussing their topics. Now, when you bear them, actually, they will be talking to each other. You know, they are not talking to the whole group. So this is possible in Blackboard. and probably in Teams. I haven't used, you know, Teams in this task.
It is possible. Yeah, it is possible in Teams.
So you can actually group them, and you do a lot of activities. So that's about the think, pair, share can be done, and also for the Teams-based learning. For the RATs, the readiness assessment test, I think you can go and also come up with some questions, and you just pause at the middle of the lecture and give them these questions, and they will go and give you immediate feedback. You can actually do also on the fly quiz. So you can pause any time and give them few questions, 4 or 5, you know, multiple choice questions, and they answer them, and you ask them to go and share their answers and the justifications for selecting A, not B, and C. So all of this will be actually a type of active learning that can be done online. Okay, Shabab? Okay. The last thing is the integration. Integration actually is bringing all of these you know, steps together. To ensure that the course design is perfectly and properly integrated, of course, the integration is very important. So you look at the first step and try to link it into even the assessment. Now, there is probably a confusion point or confusing point in here, because people usually think of the activities before the assessment. So we do or study the situational factors, we set up our learning goals, then we do the activities, then we go and do the feedback and assessment. So maybe, you know, this is causing some confusion to some people, but you know, these are the steps in here. But when we go into the implementation, usually we prefer, and you know, myself prefer, to start with the activities, then we go and do the assessment and the feedback, or we design or plan our assessment and feedback procedures. And this may take us to what we call it the 3-column table. And this is an exercise that I want you to go on to try, you know, whenever you have time. Probably you can do this integrated course design for the coming semester, not this one. You just, you know, have some time to digest the idea, think of it, build, you know, your learning goals, you know, activities and you know, assessments as you go through the semester, and plan it for next semester. No, when we talk about, you know, learning goals, we call this the 3-column table. So you go and list all of your goals in here, starting from the foundational goals, applications, human, you know, etc., until we get into the last one, learning how to learn. And for example, foundation goals, what are the activities? You can talk about, you know, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 foundation goals. And the first goal is achieved through a lecture. The second goal is achieved through, for example, a discussion. A third goal is achieved through, you know, a short homework, digging for certain information from the library, from the net. Now, once you go and mention all of these activities, you try to go and do the assessment for each of these activities. How would you, for example, assess your activity or lecturing activity? Well, you would say the best thing is just to go and give them a quiz, or 1 major exam or 2 major exams and the final exam. So you go and close the loop. You finish this one. So you set up your, or you know, you bring your goals or learning goals. What are the activities associated with these goals or to achieve these goals, and how do you assess these goals? Then you go to the second one, the application. So what are the applications or the application goals? And for example, my students should be able to go and write, design a survey. Should be able to go and write questionnaires or item questions for the survey. So what are the activities? Probably a discussion inside the class, or an assignment inside the class, an assignment outside the class. Maybe go and dig for a survey that was done by X or Y company, bring it in. Let's see, you know, how do you assess this one? You go and decide on the assessment for this activity. So if you can come up by the end of this semester with you know, this table completed, filled, I think this will be an excellent exercise. Since we are starting next week, and I don't advise that we change that much in our current or existing syllabus, because this may cause actually some chaos. So I would say plan it very well, because we are talking about course planning. So planning over night is not good, honestly. It should take, we should take time, or good time, enough time to go and do the planning or good planning for our courses. These are some sample verbs that we usually use, and I think the assessment center is also concerned about this when you write them. Course specifications, if you remember also. By the way, when you talk about course specifications that's required by the NCAA, I think they are talking about exactly what I'm talking about today. You know, these 5 steps, it's the integration. So if you do actually your integrated course design, it should be easy to go and just, copy paste all of, what you write about, the objectives, the assessments and the activities into the NCAA sheet, or probably APDP or AACSB in our case. And these are some of the verbs that can be used to reflect these, or how to write these objectives. Remember, understand, identify, list. Though understand sometimes is very hard to assess, but sometimes, they are used. So probably identify, define, list, use, critique, manage, solve, assess, judge, connect, that's integration, come to see themselves, how to work, understand others, understand, oneself, get excited about the course. I want my students to actually like my course, be ready for the course, be ready to go and take another course that is similar, learning how to learn, create, a plan for the future. Probably, if students learn from you, in your course, probably when they take another similar course, they will not suffer at all, because they know how to do it, and they will be able to go and create a plan for their future. I have also some well-written examples of integrated course design. I will share them with you. I think myself and the other colleagues who attended, this workshop in Bordeaux, we all wrote our own ICD examples, and we send them back to the experts over there, and we get excellent feedback. And I have been actually using the ICD in one of my courses, and I have learned a lot, and my students actually have benefited from this planning. I'm changing this from one semester to another semester, depending on the situations. If you remember situational factors, I think this semester I'm changing them a bit, because I want to reflect this online, learning into, this my integrated course design or plan. I have started thinking of some of the things, but I'm a bit late. But inshallah, by tomorrow or after tomorrow, I should be able to go and make the possible change to reflect the need, by the current situation. I'm talking about the online situation, how to change in my activities and also assessments. I will be sharing with you through maybe Sana'ullah some of the good written examples of integrated course design, some from our college or from our universities, some from others. Please feel free if you have any question in the future. My apology for the short time. Honestly, I want to spend longer time. I'm talking so fast sometimes. I'm doing traditional learning. I'm just talking all the time. I'm not allowing you to interact. So that's because of the situation. Thank you so much, and wish you all the best.
يعطيك العافية دكتور شريدة.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, doctor. It's a very interesting lecture.
Okay, we can take a couple of minutes if there is a couple of questions. You can
Thank
just
you, Dr. Obaid. Could you please show the last slide, the references? recording here.
This one?
References, you talked about references.
Oh, okay. These are about analyzing the situational factor. Actually, if you go into the link, you will find actually good resources. And I will share, all of this because I left actually some other extra materials or supplemental materials towards the end. If somebody wants to dig into more information. I have also the PDF files for full papers about the ICD. I will zip them all and send them to Sana'ullah so he can share with you. Probably within these resources or references, there are also other links that can be also inshallah beneficial to all of us.
Thank you.
Yes, and there's a couple of links from our colleagues in the chat. If you would like to also take notice.
Dr. Obaid, did you develop any case study after you have attended the workshop and while practicing this new technique in KFUPM? Did you document any case study, something that you can share with us so that we can get started immediately?
Well, Dr. Ana, honestly, being stretched too thin in different walks, committees and all of this, sometimes you don't think that much of, unfortunately, dig into all of this. But I've been doing, this ICD since 2015 probably. So the past maybe 6 years. So I can share with you my own experience if you want to have it as a case study. Alhamdulillah, it's very successful, honestly. And I got excellent feedback from my students later on that, I changed my career, because of this. When I graduate, I will be doing actually an online, not online, a marketing research company, or I will be developing something related to marketing research because of the impact of only one course. So one of my graduate students in the MBA, he called me honestly after maybe 2 years of graduation, and he said, Doctor, thank you so much. I said, for what? He said, for changing my career. I said, how did I impact you in changing your career? He said, because of the applied marketing research. I have learned a lot, and even I shifted my job from Sabiq into a company, Kabilat Riyadh, Riyadh cables for electricity. Because of one course. I said why? He said actually I got actually an offer for a marketing analyst and researcher, and because of this course actually, and I have created interest, so I shifted totally from this company to that company. I was so happy about this one, and he approached me twice. Maybe I have said this several times. He wanted me to work as a consultant with them, because of this course. Of course I said no, because it's in Riyadh. If it's in Sharqiya, it's gonna be okay, but in Riyadh it's very difficult. So just see the level of even attachment with the students. Once show them that you care about them, you want them to be successful students, and this will go and impact them and their lives. So I'm willing to share. I'll be sharing my course with you, the zip file. But for other cases, I don't remember honestly.
جزاك الله خير يا دكتور.
طيب, جزاكم الله خير all of you. Thank you very much for your active participation, and we look forward to see you in other data activities. There is a 1:30 by Dr. Assam. It's in Arabic. It's something enjoyable. If you are Arabic speaker, then I would recommend that you attend it. That's at 1:30. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Shuraidah. Thanks a lot for even your positive response and acceptance of that invitation. It was a short time, but it is great. But we'll see you more in this regard, inshallah.
Doctor, just one comment here, Doctor. We need to study, this great participation in the online session. Wallahi, this is amazing.
Yes.
I don't know about the other workshops, but you remember we used to have about 30 plus, not mashallah 81.
Yes, also
it reached 90, Doctor.
Huh?
In one case, it reached 90.
Mashallah.
Yes, 90.
ما شاء الله.
100 with Sana Allah, it was 120 or 30.
No,
Anyway,
in this one, it is 90. In this one, maximum.
Yeah.
Oh, ما شاء
Yes.
الله. والله this is
وإن
great.
شاء الله إحنا since we have heard the voice of Dr. Husni Muhtasib, we would like also to really have him
أبو
sharing
محمد والله
some of
نستفيد
his
من أبو محمد. صحيح.
أي نعم, sharing of his best experiences إن شاء الله.
Inshallah. I'll be happy to do that.
Yeah, okay, sure. جزاكم الله خير. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sana Allah and Salman. Thank you. Of course,
شكراً.
again, you know, you're going to see Sana Allah at 1:30. You're going to see him at 6:30. So, thanks a lot, Sana Allah.
Barakallah, most welcome.
Sana Allah, are you waiting for 2-3 minutes? Is there a way to talk to you without,
Yeah, I'll
private?
call you if you don't mind.
Let us, we all go away and then